Marko, welcome back to the show, man.
Well, man, it's been a while. Good to see you again. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. And so for those who don't know, you were the first guest ever on the show, man. Like that was it feels like a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was about what, 6 months, maybe a year. I'm trying to remember.
It was a year ago. Yeah, it was almost exactly a year ago today. So yeah, congrats, man. You get to reprise the very first guest spot. I'm happy to have you back, brother.
Well, congrats to your show, man. I know it's been growing. I know you've been working hard at it. So, and I knew it would. So, I'm glad that we're here reconnecting.
Yeah, you appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's been a lot of work, a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, but pretty much everything in life, right? So it's not as hard
Yep.
as cattle ranching, I'm assuming.
It's got a lot of. We are at this point right now with when it comes to cattle. We're getting. It's kind of a good problem to have because we have so much going on with our orders and stuff that the setup I have with the acreage I have here. I don't. I have the infrastructure through social media pretty much set up the way I want it, and I can grow as much as I want with the system I have, and I can talk about that because it can help your listeners no matter what type of business they're doing. When it comes to marketing and all that, we can touch up on that a little later. But the infrastructure that I have here, which is like 40 acres roughly, not all of it is pasture land. I can't keep up with demand as grass fed cows, grass fed and finished. They take a lot longer than feedlot cows. So we got to wait for them to get up to size that would taste good. They need to be fat, basically. Otherwise, the meat is going to be tough. I'm learning as I'm going. So right now, we're trying to lock the deal for the land. We're looking at about 140 acres to add to 150, possibly 200, but I wanted all pasture land with maybe some hunting because I do like hunting woods, but mostly pasture land. And going through these, details when it comes to loans like that big, it is very much like I think you can kind of get the idea what they can go through. So we've had one deal that almost just it was so close. It was right next to our butcher. It would have been a perfect setup. It was about 127, 130
Mm.
acres, and we got to find out at the end that the mineral rights do not convey, right? And they said they would from beginning. And as you follow me, I follow you on social media. I'm a big natural resources guy, and I'm
Mm.
not saying I'm going to find diamonds on my land, but I just don't like the fact that I kind of own just the topsoil, especially for that kind of price where the land is going, even in the places like Missouri, Arkansas, that it's not like these sexy places like Florida, or something like, of course, California or something like that. So I think it's very important to look into that to know if you are getting land. And when I say you, of course, I'm speaking in general, to look into the mineral rights because you just don't know. The acreage I own right now, we own, me, my family, my wife, I mean, my kids, we own the mineral rights here. And I just like the peace of mind because you just don't know what can happen 20 years from now, 2 months from now, and you know what type of world we're living in, where the suits, I call them the suits in charge, are so overreaching and everything, and I just did not want to have that. So it's been a little tough to find that right spot, the right land for the price we're looking for with mineral rights. So we are right at that point. So yeah, a lot going on.
Y- Yeah, you and I are alike in that regard, man. I think the understanding of physical things, tangible commodities, like that seems to be lost in this day and age. And although you and I are a little bit different, I'm a Bitcoin proponent or a proponent in some
Yeah.
regard, but I also am a hard money guy, man. I'm an old school Austrian economics guy, like from the Ron Paul cloth. That's what I've been cut from, man. So I totally vibe with people like you that are into precious metals, that are into natural resources, tangible things, because you can't make any more of this stuff, man. Like this is something that is not, generated via fiat. This is natural resources, earth, soil, minerals, oil, whatever it's going to be, water, even. These are real tangible things, and very few people own them outright themselves, as you called out.
Yes, and you just touched up on something very important is the water resource. My property here, again, going back to what I already have, which is nowhere near close to what I need for my operation to go where I know it can go. We do have water access in the back of our property that basically have a live stream, a live creek. It's just basically water coming out of the stone. It is the coolest thing to see, and that's what I want to have. I want to have, it don't matter where I have the land. Of course, I don't want to have it too far from me, but if you have good fence and you got natural water coming in, meaning ponds, you don't need to be refilling big buckets of water for the cows. And you can just show up when, when the time is there, when there is calving, if you need to help out certain cow, whatever, you don't need to attend to them too much. It's just amazing how most livestock just take care of themselves. And that's what I'm learning. Like I'm learning right now as I'm going that I don't want any type of animals on my property that are not an asset. So again, for those that are possibly looking into getting out of the cities or maybe getting some land, that's what I believe this podcast should be more focused on instead of the typical convenience. I'm going to go to Panera Bread down the street. I need my Starbucks every day. I'm hoping that people are looking at things to be a little bit more self-sufficient. If they're looking at some land, even in areas like this, like Arkansas, in the middle of nowhere, where you can find a lot cheaper land than anywhere else, that you need to look at all these little details from the water to the, like you mentioned, mineral resources, the mineral rights, all of that to be kind of put together as a whole before you pull the trigger and say, you know what, I want to buy this land. Because then you are locked in, and there is a lot of issues that can happen from that point on. And animals that you have, if they're not an asset, if they're a liability, I don't want to have them on my property because that becomes major headache. Like for instance, chickens, egg layers are very self-sufficient birds. All those fun commercials when they talk about dumb as a chicken, and if you watch Moana movie when the chicken is like trying to eat the rock or whatever it was, those are the meat birds. They're called the broilers. They're very dirty. They don't live too long. They're very sloppy. They can't fly much, get up off the ground. What I mean by flying, because egg layers, they can really go up high. You'll be shocked where you can find eggs in the rafters, 15 feet up. So meat birds are different. They're more of a liability. You have to watch. You can't go on vacation without having someone watching them. Egg layers, they can go in themselves. Obviously, if you don't have a guard dog, you're going to have a problem because the predators would get around and get them if you don't lock up the doors and all that. So these are the little things that actually end up being really big because it takes time for these animals it takes time for them to grow. It takes time for moms to, like when chicken gets broody, when you watch the grueling procedure of that, how long the patience of the chicken sitting on that egg and the yellow develop and then hatch and then the little chicken comes out or chickens, what it takes and how many little things have to go right for this animal to survive is just amazing. And then all of a sudden you got raccoon or fox that just gets them later. It's like all the work that you did and the mom to watch them, it is just grueling. You don't want to see that. So again, if anybody's looking into what to do, you got to have a good dog. And I talk about my dog all the time because he was just a miracle how he ended up on our property. Great Pyrenees are awesome livestock dogs, and they're outdoor dogs. They want nothing to do with going inside. Even with 5 below 0, we have a dog house with blankets. He doesn't care. He actually loves it because of the coats they have. And very self-sustainable dogs, very independent dogs, and they will eat eggs too. So when you go out of town, they will eat the eggs. They just crack the shell and then just suck out the egg. So they can just be out there. You can leave some bones for like 2 3 days, which we've done. You come back and all the animals are intact, including him. Not on a leash, anything. It's just amazing. So again, these are just the little things that can be pretty big when it comes to homestead.
Got it. Got it. Thanks, man. Uh, I'm really curious, man. What's been new with you? Because I've seen some stuff online, and I see you growing, and everything is expanding, man. Like from a high level, 1,000 foot view, what's going on at Independence Arc Farm?
So the biggest deal now is what I mentioned earlier
The
is to
land?
lock this more land. That is where we are right now. Because right now we've had this major snowstorm, ice basically that hit our processor and a livestock auction and all that. So we're about 2 weeks behind because of that with overall orders. But even if that was not the case, we have to make sure these cows get up to the right size, like I said, before they go into processing, because they're just not going to be, you need that a little bit of that fat cap, because grass fed and finished, there is not much room for to wiggle, versus grain fed beef is a lot easier because of the more marbling, right? So this is where we kind of found that sweet spot, and now we just need to expand for more land. But that is being the biggest kind of obstacle that we have right now. So people don't have to wait for like 3 weeks. I like to get that meat out within 2 weeks, a week, once they put in an order, and then go from there. So that's kind of, like I said again, the biggest move that we have to make this year, and I believe it's going to happen. I'm pretty confident, but nonetheless, it hasn't happened yet. We did not lock it up, so that's what I'm doing.
Got it, got it. So is this not non-contiguous land then? This is gonna be like a separate parcel?
Yeah, it would be separate, and I'm fine with, even if it's, an hour away from me, 30 minutes from me. I am pretty confident if those two parts are key, right? Which is good fence and natural water resource, to have ponds where you don't have to be there daily to go there. You just go in to visit, make sure no branches from the storms hit the fence, to do that, and maybe get like a horse. We have horses. Get like a donkey or something, because you do have to train that grape your knees a little bit. I would have something like that. Like, I heard donkeys are really good to protect your livestock in case of when there's calving season. You can have coyotes get up in there, and it can be devastating. So uh, I kind of have a pretty good, very good plan. I just have to put it into pieces now. If the land, not if, when the land happens.
Got it, got it. And I've heard rumors that there's some pretty attractive financing programs or different types of loans when you're buying farmland versus residential. Is that true?
Yes, there is a loan called FSA. So if anybody, there is always a little, read between the lines. FSA loan does apply for anyone who's had operating farm for at least 3 years, which we do. So this is the one of those loans, which is the government, of course, subsidy in a way that you can get in without putting major money down or any of that. But it's a grueling procedure with the details, what you have to do and comply with, and all the details as we are learning right now while doing it. But it's doable. It's doable, and if without that, it would be very hard, because you're looking at, land, like I said, even in areas like Mississippi, Missouri, where a lot of people, Arkansas, Alabama, a lot of people want to stay out of. This is exactly where I like to look at, and because it's cheaper, it's not as so much in demand. Even though when there is more demand, of course, the prices drop. But out here, when you look at, I mean, it's a joke prices compared to somewhere else, like even Tennessee, that's
Mm.
growing. You're out there, 2,000 an acre, 4,000 an acre versus 25,000 an acre, 7,000 an acre. Who knows? I mean, these are huge prices that are, 150 acres. Now you're looking at $300,000, $400,000 difference for that lot versus there. And I'm also looking at winters. I don't want them to be too harsh because of hay, because that's a huge expense for ranchers, is hay. If you're not cutting your own hay, if you don't have that extra lot for that, looking at one hay bale right now is between 40 and $50, so roughly $45 just for one. And
Wow.
cows go through that pretty quickly. So if the winter is way too long, like somewhere where I used to live in, like Indiana, Illinois area, something like that, or obviously East Coast, it can get pretty bad. Out here, we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks out of the winter. That's pretty rough, and that's at the most. Like today, I'm in short sleeves. I mean, it's 68 degrees outside.
Yeah, I don't know about you, man, but for us, we had actually every year I've been in Tennessee, it's been a really cold winter. Like January, February has been below zero, like both years. and now it's like in the 60s. It's just like a switch flip last week.
Yeah, we're looking at the same. We didn't go below zero, but we got to single digits, so everything froze. So that's of course another issue when you have to attend to the animals with water. We got the water heaters too that I was able to set up. That's a huge help. And these are the little things that are major headache savers when it comes to homesteading and going from there. If by any chance people that are listening to your show are looking into starting something on their own, looking for a few acres here and there, these are the tips that can help out. And then we've had no prior experience, as you know, my story with ranching, farming. I mean, I lived in the city my whole life. I'm as a city guy as they get. But right now, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I just love to be in the country and I love people. I'm more like I like to go out. I like to hang out. But I don't want neighbors. I just don't want to be on everyday basis. Put it that way. We got neighbors. We love them, but I don't need you to immediately talk to me if I wanted to walk outside for 2 minutes. And I've always had that before where I lived, and I really enjoy this right now. To have freedom just to walk out.
Yeah, totally, man. So if you're antisocial, you're an introvert, go get into farming. You can get a whole bunch of acreage and be by yourself. That's what you're telling everybody.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And what's interesting is I'm just kidding, as I'm totally different. Like I love to be around people, but again, it comes down to the privacy part. It's I don't not every time when you walk outside you feel like somebody has to be in your business. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just want to have a peace of mind, go outside in your shorts or whatever underwear, and knowing that unless there is an eye in the sky with today's technology, no neighbors can see you. You're just on your own. It's like I like that. So our neighbors stop by, they have coffee at our house, they come in, they text us, hey, what are you guys doing? We don't see them, they don't see us. They're kind of in the woods far, but they show up and we're having a great time, but we don't see each other on a daily basis. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, ain't suburbia out there, is it?
Yes, yes. Hopefully one day you'll get to stop by and we'll cook up some steaks.
Dude, it's gonna happen for sure. I'm gonna come down. It needs to happen. So, but also to answer your question peripherally, I definitely have a bunch of people in my sphere that are into this stuff and probably borderline. So, are you familiar with the concept of agorism or agorism?
No.
Yeah. So it's a functional way of being in the libertarian world, essentially, which is like sort of exfiltrating yourself from the financial system, from that fiat currency, not transacting in USD, not paying taxes, exchanging, like raising your own, being self-sufficient, exchanging with neighbors or, a network of people that are sort of like-minded. I had Sonia Fintesh on my show, who is, deeply in that space. She butchers her own meat very graphically on Instagram and TikTok and X. I love her. Sonia Agora is her at in on Twitter. And she and a bunch of other people in the libertarian space are way into that stuff. I think more and more people are getting pulled into that world because we're seeing the way the way the world is changing. And so that's one of the things I want to talk to you about today, man. Is like it feels like there's been a pretty monumental shift in the world with Trump being elected, et cetera. But I know you and I might differ from some of the more enthusiastic people that are more optimistic about way things are going. So I want to get your take generally, man. We haven't talked in a long time.
Yeah.
What has happened? What's your analysis of the way the world is going, man?
Well, I'm very, very cautiously optimistic when it comes to Trump. Like I said, I'm on your previous show. I'm a political atheist. I'm a big Christian, but I'm a political atheist. I don't trust anybody in office. Not maybe there is a couple of people that. What was the guy's name? Thomas Massey, Ron Paul,
Mm,
like you mentioned.
yeah.
There is a few. Trump, I was impressed with so many things, but at the same time, like I said, I'm very, very optimistically cautious with when it comes to the health event, the jabs. I don't even want to say the words and all that. I know there's been some better things going on. So yeah, optimistically cautious, I think are the two words I can sum it up.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
don't
So
think. Yeah.
let's talk specifics though, man. Like what are the things that have made you optimistic, or things that you've found that you're like, yeah, I'm really vibing with that, or I think he's doing a good job with this. Like what are the positive sides of that coin?
Well, it seemed like there is several things when it comes to immigration that he mentioned he was going to do. That immediately started to happen with the border control, and they're trying to with the whole thing with Elon Musk to try to cut government spending and all that. Yes, they are spending so much more on different areas, but they are doing something about it. With this whole thing with Epstein list, I don't believe a word of it.
None of it.
Okay, yeah, I don't. Like I said, I believe that most of them are all in bed together with this. It's like basically uniparty. It's a major freak show. That's what I see them all as. But the biggest one was the border stuff from Trump. I do like the fact that he started talking about. I don't know if they're going to do it. I do like the Fort Knox story. They want to see if we actually have the gold, because as you know, I'm a big hard
Hmm.
commodities guy and soft commodities like food, like beef. And those are the major ones. There's a couple more that I'll think of as we're talking right now, but a lot more better than worse. But the worst ones are very worrisome. Okay, and this is right now what they did with the Epstein files to have the influencers. You kind of like have to pinch yourself. Is this like Babylon B? Is it AI? Like what is going on? Like
Did you
you
see
really
them
don't know.
dancing? Do you see them dancing?
Well, that one was, I'm pretty sure I posted that one. It is an AI for that one. I
Oh, was it
believe they
really?
put, yeah, yeah. But the fact that they have these influencers are holding papers where possibly kids were being trafficked. This is just, I have no words. And for the fact that he's quiet about it, and Elon, I guess Elon is not as quiet. He did post something, like he posted a funny meme with the guy from Narcos. I forgot the lead actor's name. uh, did you see it just yesterday that
I
he
don't think I
posted?
did. No.
Okay, well, there's a famous scene when he's smoking weed or whatever cigarette, and he's trying to figure out how to again escape from police and all that. And Elon said waiting basically for the files to
Oh,
release. So he's at least saying something. I don't know if that means much, but yeah. So that's kind of like just a whole clown show with what's going on. You've got some influencers holding documents like that. I don't
that
know
we
if
already
this is
have. That we already have. Like it's the
yeah.
flight logs. This stuff has already been public. They didn't release anything new as far as I know. Like I didn't go through all of it. Somebody posted, they claim to have scanned all of them in and put a PDF online. It looked just like flight logs. And like we've seen the flight
Uh,
logs. This is not what we're talking about. This is not the information that we were promised, man.
yeah, and who is going to ever be held accountable? What's going on with Fauci and all this stuff? I just there is a lot of questions, and since we're talking about, I guess my brain is now clicking in a little more. I do like certain people that he did put in office. Okay, when it comes to it, there is some stuff from RFK that I don't agree with. But for the most part, I would rather listen to a guy that looks like him in shape than whatever health advisors we've had so far. So that's another, Tulsi Gabbard. She does say a lot of good stuff. I don't know 100% what's going on with her, but there is some people that he put in place this time that seem a lot better than what he used to have in his first term.
Yeah, and I get that sort of inclination, right? So having somebody who's fit and good health and all that sort of stuff in that position, great. I just don't think it matters, man. It feels a lot like this is another. There's so much dog and pony show, like with the Epstein files. Well, here's your binder that
Yes,
has
yes, yes.
it's all branding. Is if you read the binder itself, on the bottom it said most transparent administration. This is propaganda. This is not. Anything material that I've seen so far. Like I've predicted when RFK got in, it was like there would be nothing on the jabs. It would be on, banning like all this sort of stupid shit that like you can avoid if you have half a brain cell to rub together. Like we always talk about eating whole foods, eating some beef, getting shopping around the outside edges of the supermarket if you want to, and not eating that processed crap. Like you don't need RFK to do anything for you to avoid that stuff, man. And these BAMs, I think they're going to be, just expansion of government power. Like people love to cheer for the government to ban stuff when it's stuff they don't like, but they fail to realize that they can use that exact same power against you when the other side, who, let's say, for example, doesn't like meat because it causes climate change or something. Like, guess what? They're going to use that ban in the future against you, right? And so I really try to caution people to have some common sense. Think about the issue. If you look at the power that you're asking to grant to the government and flip it the other way around, see, like, how could it actually be used against me? I don't think people do that, man.
Yeah, I could not agree anymore on that. And me and you, usually, especially from my other account from X, I try to be a little bit more raw from my other one. I try not to get too crazy with the official company's account, even though I'm pretty bad. I know that. But we agree a lot. It's like you said, it's a pony show, dog pony show, whatever you want to call it. Bread, give them bread and circuses. That is
That's it.
basically where we have been. This is where we are. This is where we're going. But when you look at what happened with the previous administration, I don't even know what to say. So yes, this is, no matter how much you got to be cautiously optimistic, even if you're a little bit optimistic, the guy was not even, he was barely alive. And the stuff that we were witnessing going on for the 4 years, I mean, it was just almost like you had to pinch yourself. Is this real? Like this is the president of the United States, and this is the vice president. I mean, from embarrassing moments from the office. Remember the guy bending over got caught from the White House lawn. They had all these people up front doing the. I mean, I don't know what your channel can handle or not, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it was like a nightmare. I really think we lived in a nightmare for 4 years.
We did, but I think we also learned a lot too, which is the fact that the president doesn't matter ultimately because we didn't have a president.
One hundred
We
percent.
we went through a whole presidential cycle where everyone just sort of knew that he was mentally incompetent and wasn't running the country, and people just shrugged, and like Americans were just like, whatever. I guess we have a guy with dementia running the show, or at least as a figurehead, and nobody cared. The show went on, which leads me to the question: like, who the fuck was running things?
Yeah, exactly. And
Like,
obviously, we've heard names from Soros and all that. And I don't believe those are conspiracy theories, but nobody's doing anything about it. And the show, the bread and circuses, continues on. And we're just out here trying to make sense out of this nonsense the best we can. That's why I decided to move away from the city, especially when we had little kids and all that. I just did not want to be around all that mess. I wanted to make sure we homeschool, and none of this is easy. None of it was given. It's not like I've had some money stacked aside to say, oh, this guy was born wealthy, whatever. None of that was. We had about 5 6 months savings when we got out here. We did not have jobs at the time, and meaning savings for like median home type of lifestyle, nothing more. It was just, I'm going to take a leap of faith on this one and be as independent as I can. So I don't care too much what Trump says anymore or what AOC says. They can talk about cow farts all they want. And I understand if it comes to that the government is coming to take your cows and all that, and taking your, gold, banning Bitcoin. Speaking of Bitcoin and all that, there is going to be some major uprise that will happen at some point. If that happens, I can't control that. I can only control what I can control. And I don't want to depend on you to go to the store to buy eggs. I want to have eggs. I want to have beef. I slaughter my own meat birds, turkeys. When I go hunting, we process the food here. Like I don't process my own beef, my own cows. I have a processor that does that. It's USDA process, but it wouldn't take me too long to learn, and I wouldn't mind, to be honest with you. It didn't take too long, through YouTube and stuff, through some basic research. You got to get your hands dirty and understand this is food. This is how that Chick-fil-A came to your table when you order it outside. And I actually teach my kids now. I want them to watch certain things when I process foods. I want them to know what it takes to do that. As gory, as gruesome as it is, and all that, what happens out here in these woods, man, at night, and I sometimes just sit in the back of the truck and just look. I have a lot of spotlights where animals pass. This is before my Great Pyrenees showed up. I mean, it is rough what animals do to each other. You might as well do it yourself and have food for you and your family. And I know a lot of people disagree with all that, but this is livestock. These are not pets. And that's the way I see it. And I
Yeah,
want to be,
you're
yes.
yeah, so you're 100% right. And I don't know if you follow Sonia, but you should. Sonia Agora, her account is all about self-sufficiency around specifically butchering animals, right? Like I think the USDA processing requirement, that's a big issue. And she's done a lot herself and does a ton to educate people, man. So check her account out, man. She's
I
awesome.
will. I will. Yeah, by the way, just in case if, somebody's listening and they start contacting you or us, oh, we want some chicken. We don't sell those. We don't sell the turkeys. That's just I have separate freezers. If I feel like having chicken that day, we'll have it. Kids are, they're good either way. Turkey, chicken, beef. I'm more of a beef guy. I just like my beef. And once you go into beef and you start having your own beef, it is very hard to start eating chicken, even natural chicken, not organic. Okay, that's an interesting word that they use. The suits use the word, they kind of weaponize the word organic, and nobody really knows what it means. It's just slapped on the label, and I want natural. Okay, when I catch that wild turkey in the back here, that is it doesn't get much more natural than that. Okay, or the chicken here grazing right now, for bugs, whatever they're doing. The egg layers. I get some feed sometimes from the local place here that I believe is a good feed, but mostly, especially springtime, summertime, fall time, they're out here eating bugs all day long. I don't want to eat bugs. I want my chickens to eat bugs, and I want to eat their eggs because that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And I'm kind of like you. I'm almost at the point now. I've eaten beef so much the last year that chicken's almost like a vegetable to me. It's like borderline vegetable.
Yeah. I'm not into it. Don't get me wrong. My wife makes it. She mixes up food a lot. Like she does a lot, or she cooks a lot, and I will always, destroy it. Don't get me wrong. But if I had a choice, no, I'm put that brisket on or short ribs. I'm starting to have short ribs for breakfast now. I'm kind of getting crazy. Like it don't matter to me. Is beef? I'm eating it. It doesn't matter what time of the day, when, how. Eggs? I'm eating it. It's just sad when you have no eggs, which does happen sometimes. Chickens stop laying, whether you have other flock or it's too cold, too hot quickly. They do weird stuff like that. They find different spots. You got to look for it. So that's kind of sad when you run out of eggs, which doesn't happen much, but it does happen. So for people that did start something like this, don't freak out. You just have to figure out where they're at and give them a little time, and they'll start laying again. So it's not the end of the
Yeah,
world. Yeah.
yeah. There's definitely going to be production issues, but you're not going to have the government culling all your birds for some virus outbreak, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially I have three roosters. They're all good roosters. They get into it sometimes, but I'd say 98% of the time they're all good. So I'll have my own chickens here every few months. You get a chicken that ends up being broody, wherever she is. We just leave her there. We have the heat lamps ready to go when the little chicks are born. Yeah, we've lost some. Don't get me wrong. These are the things that do happen on the farm all the time. That's just the way nature is. But a lot of times we just had them. Hey, it was no big deal. We put them in a big bucket with nice heat lamp in the garage, shielded them from the bad weather, and within 3 weeks they were outside with the general population, I call it. So it's great. You can call these, even though I'm speaking to you on podcast now, unregistered chickens. There is nothing like that. And yeah,
Unregistered chickens, like
unregistered chickens, man, they're nowhere to be found. You just don't all of a sudden, here's a chicken that just showed up, or that turkey in the backyard right now. I mean, it's just, or guineas or whatever it is, obviously deer and all that. It is just, I'm just becoming such a country guy. I'm loving it. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I lived, as you know, my story. I played poker full time in Las Vegas. I basically lived on Las Vegas Strip. I lived downtown Chicago. I mean, people make fun of me, call me a European hillbilly, and you never seen the world. I'm like, if I would have told you only 10% what I've done in my life, you would not believe even that 10%. So I leave a lot out actually when people ask me. I'm like, yeah, I'm a European hillbilly and I'm loving it. Yes, I say I never been in the city my whole life. I have no idea. Just
Well,
get off my case.
don't incriminate yourself, especially if the statute of limitations hasn't run out yet. I mean, not sure, but I know you've traveled several jurisdictions. You'll be careful legally.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like you though, man. I've seen your posts from Dubai to all that. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's
But
funny is I've had a really slow travel year, honestly. Like normally I'm like 30%, 40% on the road, and this year it's been really slow. It was
well, it's only February still officially.
no, I mean like the
So
trailing
yeah.
12 months, like the last 12 months, it's been really, really slow. Like matter of fact, the whole Rome and Dubai trip, that was for the podcast. That wasn't even associated with my day job, man. So I had to pay for that shit out of pocket.
I got you. Yeah. Well, you ask anyone, not anyone, but most people, have they ever been to Dubai? They'll be like, no. If they've been to Rome, maybe a little more people, but that is pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not been to Dubai. I've been to Italy, but I haven't been to Dubai.
Well, hey, Dubai is interesting. You probably know I went to go talk to Zuby out there, and that was
I do know that. Yeah. I
man.
watched a little bit of it. Hmm.
He sold me a lot on Dubai. If you're from a different country, it's really attractive, man. So U.S., we're one of those great places, one of the two countries in the world where you can't avoid taxation, even if you leave the country, right? So we don't get to do that, but you know, he does. Like a UK, he went from like what 60% taxes or some shit to Dubai where there's zero. So for him. Boy, that made a hell of a lot of sense. Like, I understand why people are attracted to it. The weather is fantastic. The culture is a little weird, though. The culture is like you see people in burqas next to girls wearing like short shorts and a tank top. It's wild. People from all over the world. There's
Oh, I
Russians and
see.
it's this giant weird melting pot in the Middle East, man. But it's definitely hopping in Dubai for sure. A lot going on.
Yeah, one of my best friends went out there about 3 4 years ago, and he said the same thing. He actually said, "I want to go back to visit at some point again." So, yeah, I never been out there. I've been to many places, but never out there. Would like to go one day, someday, but who knows from that point on.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It's the world's changing, man. A lot of power and finance is kind of shifting around the globe a little bit. It's kind of wild to see. El Salvador too is a big place. They went to Bitcoin as their legal tender over there, and it's completely transformed the country. It's now like this booming hub, and it seems like Central and South America are growing, and things just appear to be shifting around. And like Europe is dying, man, like a painful death, man. Even Germany is really struggling right now, which is typically the powerhouse of the
Yeah,
EU. It's been wild to watch.
yeah. I think Germany's officially it has been in a recession.
Hmm.
Most of Europe. I haven't been since we got married in southern France. I haven't been back since. My last trip was Dublin, Ireland. Probably one of my favorite places I've ever visited.
Really,
Oh
really.
man, that was wow.
What did you like? What did you
I
like about
got,
Dublin? Because I went to
I
Ireland
liked
and
it.
I love Cork better. Like we flew into Cork and then we drove up to Dublin and I thought Dublin wasn't as nice as Cork. I enjoyed Cork more. Maybe tell me what you like about Dublin.
Oh, listen, Cork, we went out there as well. It didn't matter to me. I like the people. I like the hangout. I like their Guinness. I like the grit
There you
from,
go.
maybe I just got lucky with all the people I met. Um, occasionally, I mean, I was just walking around. My wife at the time was, I believe, 4 months pregnant or something, and she could not hang as long as I could, right? So especially the first day or two with with the flights and all that, I said, you know what? Why don't you just rest up for a little bit, and I'm gonna go out for a few hours. And man, I just put some, started walking, and they had this cover YouTube band in one of the dive bars that I walked in, and uh, the way I was treated there, and how much fun it was, and the band sounded so good. I actually thought it was U2, whether or
Oh
not
wow.
people like U2 or not, like I grew up, with Civil War, where I grew up with the songs like Sunday Bloody Sunday and all that, and I know the whole Bono stuff with the globalism and all that. It's a complete shit show, but overall, you can't, the talent overall, especially back in the day. Joshua Tree and all that. I mean, I grew up like that. And when they played Sunday, Bloody Sunday in Dublin, and you talk to these guys and the cab drivers that would actually during Belfast and all that mess, it was just for me that was what was so cool, and my wife loved it as well. Like we want to go back. We don't care where in Ireland, because we went other places in Ireland. It wasn't just Dublin. Dublin was kind of where the hotel was, but we did the tours and all that. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. For me, the magic is out in the countryside. Ireland is weird, man. They call it the Emerald Isle for a reason because it is. It's like the green got turned all the way. Like when you adjust your TV set, like somebody just cranked the green up way too loud. It is a pretty phenomenal driving through the countryside. And I think the magic in Ireland is out in the castles and like going to the hillsides and seeing the
yes, and we've
The
done
cliffs
all
of
that.
Moher. And man, that is
Yes,
absolutely the best. But Dublin
been
for
to
me though,
Cliffs of
dude.
Moher.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
Dublin for me though is like the thing that bothered me the most is like the main area, the Temple Bar area, like finding out that's fake. Like all that was manufactured for tourism. It's not even real, right? And so I felt a little bit cheated. I was like, "Oh, you're tricking me, man." Like I like
Yeah,
the
I when I started walking, I don't even know. I think it was like 2 to 3 hours. I was away from my hotel. I wasn't even paying attention where I was going. There was no, tourists where I was. This was like a local dive bar. I mean, like I said, I had a blast in Dublin. I actually met the guy that knows someone I know from Las Vegas at the bar
wow.
in Dublin, Ireland. Impossible to believe story, but that happened there too. So all these little things that kind of like whatever. I don't want to make the podcast about Ireland, but
Hey, it's
that's
my podcast. We'll talk about whatever we want to talk
yeah. You
about, man.
talk
It's
about
all
whatever
good.
you want, man. You tell me where you want to head next. It's all good.
Well, I want to talk about metals, man, because you're a pretty deep in the metals markets, and me, like I said, being an Austrian econ dork and a hard money dork, somebody who's really concerned with the government spending and the inflation and all this craziness that's going on. Why don't you impart some wisdom upon the podcast? Talk to me about why you're into metals, what the purpose is, why you think they're attractive, and what do you see on the horizon for the U.S. dollar?
Well, that's a loaded question, but I'll tell you just in a few minutes on the way I see it. For me, physical gold, physical silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, you name it, I don't look at the price when I have those physical items in my possession. I look at it as wealth. I don't look at it as when I own, let's say, gold ETFs, which is like paper gold or digital gold, you can call it. And those are I'm more annoyed by those. I have some investments in that hasn't gone anywhere except for down for a while since August of 2020 when we had the top in a lot of silver gold stocks. So I'm a speculator slash gambler. And at the same time, I'm an investor in the precious metals because when it comes to physical, when it comes to they call them stonks for a reason, precious metals, because a lot of people have been hurting with those while you watch crypto and Bitcoin overall just doing what I understand. Bitcoin is down now 25-30% from its peak. But I always say on Twitter, as you know, you can't argue with the fact what Bitcoin has done since its inception from, I believe, 2011, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
nobody can argue that. I can't argue it. Am I pissed? I was early in Bitcoin. I was early in Ethereum. People looked at me like I was crazy, and I thought I was doing pretty good when I would, 3, 4 bagger and then flip it or back around and trade Bitcoin from 5 to 10,000, sell it, buy again. I thought, I was the man. I figured it all out. And that's not the case. It was just better to hold. I don't believe in it as most Bitcoin maxis do. I'm more on a physical stuff, but I am not against Bitcoin. I am not against cryptos.
Well, let me tell
I
you
am
something,
just,
Marco. It might
I'm
might
just,
might
yeah.
might surprise you about me is I don't either. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi man. Like, and I think BTC. I'm very much in agreement with my buddy Roger Ver that it got compromised. Like it is not what it was intended to do. It is not peer to peer cash like Satoshi's white paper outlined. And I think BCH actually is the real Bitcoin. But I'm also aware that the world thinks of Bitcoin as BTC and it's turned into this quasi gold, right? They're trying to say digital gold. And just because people believe it, you're seeing all this influx into it. So I hodl, man. Like I keep stacking Bitcoin, and not because I believe in it, but because I believe other people believe in it.
Yeah, so going back to that, it's just an interesting concept overall. I am pissed that I did not hodl Bitcoin because I would have used those profits when I would have gotten out, who knows, for maybe 20,000, maybe I would have gotten out at 50,000 or 40K or 30K, I don't know. But I'm pissed because I didn't buy more physical gold. I didn't buy cows. I didn't buy more cows. I didn't buy more land. So that's the way I see it. And I could be wrong because look what El Salvador is doing. I am not 100% saying that the Bitcoin is not going to do some things that people are talking about. I am not. It's just not for me. I can care less. I'm looking at it as a trading tool in order to buy more chickens with. That's the way I see it. So when I'm negative on Bitcoin, it's because, and I admit it, and I admit it publicly, I'm pissed. I could have made a lot more money than speculating in gold, platinum stocks that I'm down 50, 60%. My wife, I try to tell her, please do not open that brokerage account. Don't even look at it. Like I'm literally holding bags and I'm holding heavy bags off of a cliff. It's that I haven't sold any, but nothing is happening. I'm just kind of waiting. It's annoying to be so wrong at that. But when it comes to physical, people need to realize I grew up in Europe. People from India, people from Dubai, people from Asia, they look at physical gold completely differently than Americans. And I understand why it's not loved. It will be, okay? It will be when, I don't know. It can be a year, it can be 3 years, it can be 5 years, I don't know. And when it does, it's like what did Doug Casey, I don't know if you heard of him say, you're gonna have to fit the huge dam through the water hose when old
Right,
people
right.
rush in to get it. And I don't want to be the one rushing in. I just want to have it in a place at your Uncle Bob at Nebraska or whatever. You want to keep it underground at 30 acres from here. I just want to make sure it's there. I don't sweat about it. And it's very liquid. Gold is very liquid. Okay, people don't understand that. There are pawn shops everywhere. Yes, they're gonna get you, on 5% or so when you go in. But if you needed cash, if you wanted to get your gold buffalo, American Eagle, whatever you had, you go to a local coin shop and you can exchange that for fiat, for the paper currency within 5 minutes. Okay? There is just two questions that they will ask you. They will say, what do you got? You better know what you're talking about because they will know that you are a fish and they will hook, line, sinker you all day long.
Yeah.
Then they will say, what do you want for it? And you say spot.
Hmm.
That's the word you say. You're not going to get spot. I don't care what people say. You're not going to get spot. And that's fine. If you're up, like I started buying gold when it was like 12, 1300. I can care less if I lose 2, 3% on that. It's 3,000 now, almost 3,000. So it's nothing again like crypto gains, but I did not buy it in order to get cash for it. I do have it in case it's needed. You see what I mean? Like if I need cash, I can just go in and get it. But if anything really bad happens, I want to have it as a bartering tool in order to exchange it for something I really need. And if nothing really broke that big and gold is now, let's say 4,000, I decide, you know what? I will use cash because I need another pickup truck. I'm going to unload 6 ounces of gold for 30K in cash. And instead of giving that person actually 6 gold coins because he doesn't want anything to do with it, I'll give him 30 grand. So it's not like if you hold it, this is some kind of archaic, pet rock like they call it. It's very simple to go, and I've done it before. I just wanted to test it out. I had a gold coin just recently. I think this is a pretty cool story where somebody found me on social media. I was on Mario Meneco's account, YouTube channel. I don't know if you heard of him. A pretty big
Hmm.
channel. He's from UK. He was the ex-banker. And we were
Yep.
out there, of course, talking about beef and all that. And the older gentleman from Oklahoma that listens to Mario Meneco, just like some other people are listening to you now, he heard me say I would take gold for beef. So this guy called me up. I just wanted to see, man, if you're really talking, walking the walk. I have an ounce of gold. I want to bring it to you. I'll drive in with my wife. How much beef can you give me for? I said, well, spot is 1900. This is what the beef is. This is how much it costs. If you want it, you got it. He says, I'll be there in a week or so. I'll let you know. I said, sounds good. We met up. He got the gold coin. I mean, he had the gold coin. I got it. He got the beef. And I recently exchanged that gold coin just to see if it works because that one was kind of fell in my lap for 1900. Now it's 3K. I said, you know what? I need some cash. I just want to see what happens. So it worked out. He came in and this gold coin value increased a lot. Beef increased too, don't get me wrong. It's not like, he got a really short end of the stick here. But I was the no brainer for me. So a lot of farmers, ranchers will take physical gold. They will take ammo, and I know a lot of them. They will not take Bitcoin. They will not take crypto for it. There is maybe 2, 3 companies that I've heard of that would take Bitcoin. So it's not like it's nobody's doing it, but that's very rare. You go out there and tell the farmer, I got 10 ounces of silver, man, for hay. There is a good chance they're going to say yes. If they say no, you go and exchange those coins and bring them cash.
Or find another person that'll take this over. I mean, it's not difficult. You're right. You're right. I think a lot of people in that community are hard money people, and they definitely will transact in that.
Yeah, pawn shops are everywhere, like big cities, small cities. You go around, you'll drive every time, and I've been, I do travel a lot. I'm on the road a lot, and I do see them, and I always have a couple of ounces on me just in case I have to exchange it. You never know what can happen. I want to walk into that pawn shop and see what I can get. So yeah, it's gold is very liquid. That's the point of the story. It is portrayed as something like, oh my God, what do you do with it? Like I personally freaking love it, man. I have that gold bar in my hand. I'm like, I'm on a cloud nine, but I'm addicted to it, so that's different.
There's
Yes.
worse things to be addicted to, man. It could have been hookers and cocaine, brother. Like,
Yes, yes. I'm addicted to gold and beef. That's where I'm at.
oh, that's the same, brother.
But
Same. Oh
yes.
man. So quick question, because we're circling the real issue around. We're talking crypto. We're talking metals. We're talking hard assets. Like, what's the real problem that we're trying to address here, man?
The problem is the currency printing. I know a lot of people have heard this to nauseum. It is not stopping. The more they print, when you see gold go up, whether it's 10%, 15%, that means your purchasing power, meaning your dollar, is going down. It's the only way you can explain it. Okay, and this is where we're at, and I just don't see this stopping anytime. I mean, they're just saying they're going to be sending $5,000 per person for the for taxpayers. When you multiply that by how many millions of people are paying taxes, it's just pure math. As Rick Rule, if anybody follows him, said, this is just pure math. So now you're spending all this versus you saved 200 million on from Ukraine or whatever the hell they're doing. So this is not stopping. We're going to expand our balance sheets. We're going to completely erode our purchasing power. Middle class is gutted. The more you watch people in retirement have to go back to work because they're getting less and less for their dollar buying the same items. That's what's sickening about it. You're getting not only from shrinkflation. When you look at nasty potato chips that I used to eat a lot, and I stopped about 2 years ago when I started doing carnivore and all that. Potato chips, 30% of the bag minimum, if not 60%, is empty. Okay, so you got that, and then on top of that, you got the prices that are going up. Like 5 hour energies, I know they're probably not good for you, but most likely not. I used to, when I would do long hours with my job and stuff. I remember 2 for $5. Now one is like 350. You're looking at 50%, 150% rise. Propane tank when I moved here is up 300% to fill up my 200-gallon propane tank. Okay, this is this is everyday Americans. I'm not some kind of a big business owner here that's living the dream and pulling $100 bills out of where. That's not that. It's just I'm just being realistic and I'm watching it and I know and I lived through hyperinflation. I lived through civil war. I've seen the writing on the wall. I know the dollar is the reserve currency. That's a big difference between the third world country and all that second world country. But nonetheless, what they're doing, both parties, they are leading us. I'm not saying for sure hyperinflation, but it's now more probable than ever. And we don't even need hyperinflation to finish this story. We just need double digit inflation because the wages are not keeping up to destroy the rest of the middle class. And it's by design. It's sickening.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, man. Sorry, man. I got the hard stop here. I got to let you go. But why don't you tell people where to find you? That's a great way to close it, man. I wish everybody could just take those words to heart because it's probably the most important issue in our world right now. Full stop.
Yes, I agree. I'm very active on X, Independence Art Farm. That's the easiest way to find me. And we have our website. You can probably post the link down below of Independence Art Farm.
I
And
will.
yeah, sounds good. Nice talking to you, man. Good catching up again. Hopefully, we'll do it again.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Marco. Really appreciate it. And everyone, check out his site and order some beef from Marco, man. It's awesome beef. I promise. I'm a customer. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk later, Brent.